This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1139 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks. Brought to you today by Kentucky Performance Products. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. On today's tip, we find Glenn and Fran Yerga, mad genius behind hoofcare.com, chatting about why it is so important that you'd pay attention to how your horse stands for the Farrier. And we'll get right to our tip after this from Kentucky Performance Products.
She had waited all her life for this moment, dreaming about it since she was 10 years old. The trailer ramp touched the ground. He whinnied as she backed him out, swinging his head around to get a good look at his new home. His coat gleamed in the sun. Her love had arrived. She was breathless. He was beautiful. She could hardly wait to tack him up and start off on what she was sure would be the best times of her life. This love story is brought to you by Contribute, providing essential omega-3 fatty acids that help maintain low inflammation levels throughout your horse's body. The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Call 859-873-2974 or visit kppusa.com to order today.
I can't believe you invited me back.
I know, even after we talked hooves, which for a horse husband's really tough. You know that, don't you?
Usually people have, one article or one show a year. Okay, this is the one time we're going to mention a hoof, so here you go as your big chance. I get to be back on the...
That's right, you do. Well, tell us what you have for us today. What are we talking about?
Some very simple things I would like to ask horse owners to think about, and that is the safety aspect of their horses standing to have their hooves handled or to be have their hooves trimmed or shod.
Okay.
I know that it's something you don't think about. We think about it a lot in terms of behavior. And I talk to so many vets and so many farriers who tell me incredible stories. And we really think that a lot of the problems that horses have maybe with their behavior while they're being trimmed or shod has to do with very obvious pain that we might not think of them as being injured, but they may be experiencing some sort of pain, and I really believe that a very good farrier and very good vet will recognize this problem and not force the horse to do anything against its will. But there are two areas I think people should be aware of.
Okay.
And one is a horse that's in pain. Perhaps it has back pain, or perhaps it has something like it's most common with the hind legs, and the farriers are always the first ones to recognize a horse that maybe is developing arthritis in its hocks, or maybe in its fetlocks. And I've seen wonderful little hoof stands that are very, very close to the ground to help older horses or arthritic horses so that they don't have to have their hooves hoisted way up into the ground. And I would like to see more horse owners be aware. Maybe in the morning before your horse is shod, you can turn them out so that they're maybe a little bit looser than if they had been standing in the stall all day. There are both heating pads and cold pads for the back that you can use. Some people may choose to give the horse a little bit of bute if the farrier or the vet is coming to work on their legs. It's just something to think about. It's safe for everyone.
Do you believe in the stands? Do you like the stands?
Yes, I believe so, because I think I've seen horses sort of learn to use a hoof stand, and the horses seem to be comfortable. And I would say that, for instance, at the racetrack, maybe you don't see them being used. I think certain farriers use them more or less, and certain horses maybe are more or less safe with them around. So I think it's an individual thing for the horse. But I think a horse that's sore may like to have that stand and know that it's there.
I know Equine Innovations does one called the Hoof Jack.
Right.
And I
have one.
Do you?
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now.
Well, and I wonder. I don't know what they cost. I don't remember what the prices were on that, but I do know that I've seen it, and it seems to work pretty well because it has that flexible, like on the top there, a piece of rubber.
We call it
or whatever.
cradle.
Yeah, the cradle. But I've seen some that aren't flexible. They're more rigid. I really like the Hoof Jack because it was a little bit more flexible.
Well, the Hoof Jack has two different attachments that you can put there at the top. You can put the cradle, or you could put a regular knob kind of thing there for the horse.
And we'll let everybody know we don't sell these.
and there are many kinds.
Yeah, there are many
and
types
there are
out there.
homemade ones, and you can make one yourself, and many horses are just accustomed now to using a hoof stand.
Well, and I think they become more affordable for everybody to use, too.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think another thing that could happen, Glenn, is people could maybe massage the horse before the farrier goes to work, especially in the loins and over the back. And, use a liniment. I use that stuff, that stuff's called Sore No More.
Yep,
I mean, it's a miracle. It really is.
Yes, it is.
And the horse will smell better for the farrier too.
Right.
But I think that that's a very useful thing for horse owners to be aware of. No one wants to see their horse being uncomfortable and jumping around on three legs.
All right. So be aware, be careful, and even when you're doing simple things like picking your horse's feet, just be aware of your horse. I think that's the lesson you're talking about here, and the changes that you might see, or is he indicating pain?
Right.
Well, great, Fran. We thank you. Where can people learn more about the hoof and what you do?
I hope that people will want to learn more about the hoof. We've got so much information to share. I have a website for my journal. It's called hoofcare.com, and we have a daily blog with at least one article, usually in a day, about some aspect of the hoof, and that's at hoofcare.blogspot.com, or you can get there from hoofcare.com. There's a widget right there that takes you to the blog.
Well, there you have it. You can find links to today's guest as well as lots more tips at horsetipdaily.com. Make sure you have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go with the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. You can also subscribe via iTunes. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products and listeners like you. Find out how you can help support Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. This is Coach Jen, and I'll be back again soon with another tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.